Hello, and welcome to this video, Big Apple Nibbles, where we take a couple bites out of the Big Apple in New York City. We're going to visit the Print Center in New York, whose mission is as a nonprofit organization. It champions printmaking as an art form that drives invention, collaboration, and access. Through exhibitions, public programs, education, and artistic development, the Print Center in New York is a place to explore and inquire for those engaged and new to prints. It's located in 535 West 24th Street in New York, and its vision is it aspires to bring greater exposure, recognition, and opportunity to the field of printmaking through a center exclusively focused on the art form. It positions itself as a welcoming space and essential destination for showcasing print in cross-disciplinary contexts while highlighting what sets printmaking apart, its experimental character and technical possibilities, its collaborative nature, its broad dissemination, and demographic underpinnings. Here we see a piece called Borderings 1 and 2 by Alejandra Sevilla, who explores shadows cast by a wrought iron window grates in the series of works that were made during her 2024 Maribeth Cohen Tyler Print Paper Fellowship in New York. Here she uses a blow-up technique by placing a stencil over a wet, freshly formed sheet of paper and uses water to blow away the pulp and reveal a silhouette of the stencil. The fragility and translucency of the layered linen and apcup fibers extend the investigations that drive the artist's practice, which is rooted in printmaking, as a series of translations through loss, addition, and deformation. This series of works by Enrique Chagoya, who was born in 1953 and lives in San Francisco, is a layered acrylic ink and varnish on amate paper. The accordion folded book mimics the codices produced by Mesoamerica before the Spanish conquest. Although most were destroyed by the Spanish, a few remain, like the Mayan codex referenced in this work. Like these codices, Chagoya's book is made from handmade amate, a traditional fig bark paper, and is read from left to right. He uses signifiers ranging from pre-Columbian mythology to European fantasies of the New World to 20th century U.S. pop culture. Here, appropriation encourages subversive readings of history that he calls his method to reverse anthropology, critiquing dominant narratives by toppling colonial and imperial conventions. Next, these are works from Mark Bradford, border crossings, not within the work, not between him and the audience, and not between the multiple audiences he hopes to reach. The work itself is dense, multi-layered, staggeringly cross-referential, technically sophisticated, and unabashedly dope. It's a visual mixtape scratched from both mainstream, familiar, and underground subcultural advertising slogans, from the titles of ghosts and emotional truths, both vintage soul tunes and contemporary hip-hop, and from which he is sprung. It doesn't exclude anyone. It refuses to erect any no-entry barriers around any neighborhoods or cultures, and doesn't require either a degree or semiotics to make any sense. Freedom Without Love by Heidi Jacobson. Sometimes while riding the subway or passing a park bench, one encounters a talker, a mumbler, or a screamer, a prophet. The message erupts and fits and starts, but nearly always with a sense of urgency. Listened to carefully or reassembled if necessary, the words form a searing social commentary, an apocalyptic prognostication, becoming simultaneously voyeur and student. One wonders whether the talker is earnest or reverent. The strung-together language, however, removed one circumstance and relocated to another, could assume an entirely other form. That form could, for example, be concrete poetry, a nonlinear, simultaneous experience that privileges sound over meaning. The language itself is the content. The placement of the text on the page is for visual emphasis. Concrete poets also utilize the negative space of the page. Alternatively, hypertext poems can be read in any directions, allowing an experience of the visual nature of language. And there are further works from many other works from Mark Bradford's art we see here, and these are just a small sample of them. Next, we head to the John J. Harvey, which is a fireboat just west of the Print Center. It was formerly of the New York City Fire Department in New York City, famed for returning to service following the 9/11 2001 attacks. And she's one of the most powerful fireboats ever built, capable of pumping 18,000 gallons of water in a minute. She was launched in 1931 and served in the FDNY until she was brought out of service in 1994. She was named for Marine fireman John J. Harvey, killed when a ship exploded during a fire. Among the Marine fires which she's assisted were the Cunard Line Pier fire in 1932, the burning of the Normandy in 1942, the ammunition ship El Estero in 1943, and the collision of the oil tankers Alva Cape and Texaco, Massachusetts in 1966. The John J. Harvey was sold at auction in 1999 to a private consortium of marine preservationists determined to prevent her from being scrapped. She was restored and began hosting frequent public free trips on the river. In June 2000, she was added to the National Park Service National Register of Historic Places. From where she's piered, you can also see a great view of part of the New York City skyline here, and it was a lot of moored sailboats were there as well. Lastly, we head to the Godwin-Ternbach Museum, which opened in 1981 and houses more than 6,000 works of art. It's located in the Queens College Clapper Hall, named after the former school president, Paul Clapper. You see here that it's located in Queens, and it's part of the Queens College City University of New York. The current display is something called Exploring the Language of Form, and the Exploring the Language of Form highlights 100 works of arts and artifacts from the Godwin-Ternbach Museum, spanning 5,000 years of global human experience, many revealed for the first time. The exhibition is loosely based on the 5 recurring themes throughout the collection that inspired their selection: religion and spirit, modern incantations, tools for living, the real world, and representing women. Furthermore, these objects are grouped together in some instances in the universal proliferation of vessels, masks, and portraits portraying living beings or incarnations of spiritual deities. Modern and contemporary works by a variety of famous artists are integrated with other objects by anonymous artisans, folks, and outsider artists. Here's a view of the main hall of the Godwin-Ternbach Museum, and the Exploring the Language of Form is on display from October 17th, 2024 through May 1st, 2025. Here, this is a scene of the Book of the Dead, the Egyptian sarcophagus fragment, which is exploring theme 1. There are many, many works exploring theme 1, religion and the spirit, and this is just one of them. The Book of the Dead is a collection of mortuary texts and spells that were placed in tombs to help the deceased successfully transition into the afterlife to meet the god of the dead, Osiris. The scenes are broken into 4 main sections, which are painted red, blue, white, and black. The top section depicts the protector of the dead, Isis, kneeling with her wings spread out, and there's the Eye of Horus, a symbol representing protection, health, and restoration. The scene underneath that is Isis with a burial rite. The chief embalmer with an Anubis mask is standing over the completed mummification of the wealthy deceased individual. And the following scene is the judgment of Osiris. And finally, the last scene is the crossing of the Nile River, symbolizing the dead individual's transport into the afterlife. Another piece exploring theme 1, religion and the spirit, is a statue of the Daruma, and the Daruma, or Enlightened One, is responsible for spreading Zen Buddhism to China in the 5th to 6th century in Japan, and he was born as an Indian prince far from China, but what is today the subcontinent's southern provinces of Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, and as the founder of Zen Buddhism was nurtured to be the 28th successor of the historical Buddha. Zen is known for its focus on meditation and for its paradoxical anecdotes or riddles known as koans. The more basic teaching here, though, is that Zen cannot be taught. It can only be experienced. No book or lessons opens the path to enlightenment. Constant meditation through the living example of a teacher is the only way. Both persistence and the emptying of the mind are necessary. A riddle within a riddle. If you learn anything from the teachings, is that the text is an illusion. In Japan, the figure of the Bodhidharma or Dharma is almost magical in its presence in society. Dharma dolls being one of the primary manifestations, often painted red for its Buddhist priestly caste, and the toy's form reflects the stories. Jarringly, the Dharma doll has no eyes. Rather, it only has empty sockets painted where eyes should be. And as a passing reference to the cave tale in which the Bodhidharma cut off his eyelids to avoid falling asleep during meditation. Hundreds of years after the Bodhidharma brought meditation to China to create the Chan there and its Zen equivalent in Japan, Buddhism has traveled throughout the Far East to become the world's fourth largest religion with over 350 million adherents. Its founder's image in Japan is ubiquitous as a talisman and souvenir, whose meaning is both silly, heartfelt, frivolous, and deeply mystical. The second theme, too, Modern Incantations, is illustrated by Marcos Manganis, visiting in the artist in the art department of Queens College, where he produced a work in bronze utilizing the foundry. It's a multidisciplinary. Mangani is a multidisciplinary artist focused on works that exist within the intersection of art and activism. He was formerly unjustly incarcerated and has spent his time since releasing work with other artists in a similar situation to realize their personal artistic expression through social change. The third theme is tools for living. Here we see jars with short, wide necks, and also a Mercedes-Benz passenger car. And the fourth theme, the real world, here depicts a college girl and fencing boy. There's a sculpture carved out of dark brown ebony and depicts a standing young woman with her hands on her hips, elegant and familiar. Chiam Gross focused on the semi-abstract and organic nature of the human form, and an accompanying figure, the fencing boy. In a similar semi-abstract style, the fencing boy depicts a standing young male figure with his hands behind his back. The fifth theme, representing women, is illustrated by Barbara Pearl, whose work includes many female subjects from portrait busts of friends to allegorical brides and figure studies. And in this group sculpture, she often worked in series, making formal variations on a single theme. For such experiments, a woman has served as a neutral pretext, signifying only a subject for art. But this trio of teenagers of young adult women in bathing suits, while relating to the pop artist's humorous exploration of everyday culture and mass reproduction, capture more than the commercialized image of lanky, youthful pulchritude. They also embody a range of sensitivity, observed gestures characteristic of adolescent moods, tearfully shut eyes, shy withdrawal, and mysterious pouting. So that's it. I hope you've enjoyed these few bites out of the Big Apple. And there's so much to see in New York City. There's over 200 museums, and I'll slowly be exploring other interesting and off the beaten track of places to visit in New York. Be sure to check out some of my other tour videos, and I hope you get a chance to enjoy them, and have a great day. Thanks.